Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. My name is Caroline Heward and I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. Today's show is Talking Heads. I'm an expert presenter in today's topic, which is Boys Shouldn't Cry, Toxic Masculinity. And it's part of the Mind and Body Connection series. Let's begin. So I'm going to start with a quote from Leela Schott, who is very much a big guru in parenting. And she says, perhaps if tearful little boys were comforted instead of shamed, there wouldn't be so many angry men struggling to express and empathize with emotions. Whoa, isn't that loaded? And this will set the scene for what we're going to look at in today's topic. So boys shouldn't cry. The kind of phrases that they hear are something like, don't cry, be a man. You don't look manly enough. You're a bit of a sissy. Oh, you're too vulnerable. I don't feel safe with you. Don't cry, be a man. And even if you're a girl or a woman listening to this, you can hear people saying this kind of thing to boys and to men. And it starts in childhood. It starts with feeling that the boys shouldn't express their emotions. It's okay for the girl to cry, but if the boy cries, it's not right. If the boy cries, it's seen as disrespectful to the male gender, the masculine gender. And we are talking about gender masculinity here, rather than just man and woman, boy and girl. We're talking about the gender masculinity. So why do we tell boys not to cry? Because it is a very common and understood, or maybe it's a misunderstood conception. And it comes very much from our lack of understanding that we begin as a human being. We are all human beings having a physical and emotional experience. So if you cut a man, a woman, a boy, a girl, we all bleed. We all hurt if we knock our knee, if we fall over. So what is it that makes it different to say to a boy, a very young boy, not to cry, not to express your emotions? What is it that makes us say that? And the topic around that is toxic masculinity. And it comes from a place of being described as never a victim, never being a victim. And it's okay from this archaic and old-fashioned exploration of the masculine energy that the man should always be a man, that it comes from this hunter-gatherer. He's the one that gets everything, makes sure everything's safe, where the woman is looking after the children. The masculine energy is being the one that makes sure that everything is safe in the home for his family. And he's the one that goes out and hunts for his family and finds all the food and makes sure that everyone feels safe in their home environment. So it kind of makes sense if we look at never a victim. And so when there is a problem in the boys' world, then there is this patriarchal style of not feeling comfortable to say something's wrong, a misunderstanding that it's not okay to show that there's something wrong. So you kind of have to brush yourself down and get over it. Whereas the girl, the woman, can actually be emotional. But it's not acceptable in our social society and our norms, which is why this part of the presentation is looking at the toxicity of masculinity. So never being the victim. In boyhood, there is an awful lot of initiations about being a boy, in being different from a girl. And those initiations can be that you might land up being in a gang or join a group of friends, that you're showing your macho-ness, you're showing your boyhood, you're showing your stripes, you're gaining your stripes. And there might be dares for the young boys of overcoming to belong to a club, to a group, a society. And these initiations are different for boys as opposed to girls. They're much more toxic in the fact that, it comes out with, be brave, put a brave face on, you're a boy, you're not a girl, don't be a sissy. And so these initiations are to show and to demonstrate, hey, I am a boy and I am in my masculinity, and I have to be the man of the house. I have to be the man of the family, and I have to be strong, and I have to be brave. And so these initiations are showing those things in terms of expressing in their external world, in their family, in their friendships at school, in their social environments, in terms of their youth clubs. They're showing and have to show up in these initiations. This, of course, causes a complete suppression of emotions, because when we're in this masculine expression of being a man and in these initiations, we feel as the boy that we can't express that things aren't okay, that we can't say when we're not feeling brave, when you're not feeling comfortable in something, because we have all of this toxicity of what we're told that a boy and a man should be versus what a girl or a lady or a woman should be. And so this is coming from a place of gender expectation. And because the boys are not supposed to cry, because this is a very common phrase, a very understood phrase, little boys don't cry, only little girls cry. The suppression of that expression suppresses your emotions. And this can lead to an internal conflict. When you're in conflict internally, this will lead to an external conflict outside of you. And so when you're angry or upset internally and don't feel or have or conceive an outlet for your emotions, it then turns on you, and it turns into a violent aspect of your personality internally, which will be expressed externally in your external environment. If you're holding down anger or frustration, it will express itself in terms of your external environment to people, things, situations, events, and circumstances. So even though you might come across as being very calm and placid and in control, which is how this works, because we're suppressing the emotions, it actually then leads into an internal violent struggle, which causes a challenge in terms of your masculinity, which is why we're looking at the toxicity of being showing up as a man or a little boy. This being a man is a big deal because we do feel that we have to, as a little boy, show up. Now, I grew up with 3 brothers. I was the only girl, and I definitely can see that there was a change in the way that I was treated versus the way that my brothers were treated. There was much more macho-ness and much more, well, you can go out and do this because there was an expectation. And I was like the little girl in the home, making the beds and making sure that I did my chores in the girl type way. So I was brought up very much in that I had my girl tasks, and my brothers, they were called the boys, so I had 3 brothers, and it was very much a boy home, my dad and 3 brothers, and there was only 2 girls, my mum and me, and it was very much, sport on the TV, and this was all about creating that masculinity in their energy, which actually was very good in terms of building their characters and building their street credibility to show up as boys, to show up as men in their adulthood. But this be a man really starts to affect you from your childhood. And I definitely witnessed that in my own home environment with my brothers. And it wasn't that I wasn't happy with it, but the boys were the boys doing boys things and the girls were the girls doing girls things. So we would be watching a romantic movie while my brothers would be downstairs watching the sport. So it very much, I could see growing up, it showed how toxic that could be in later adulthood. So let's look at boys do cry. Little boys, they do cry, and they cry at the same kinds of things as little girls do. So they might cry if they hurt themselves, if they fall over and cut themselves, if they're running around on the football pitch or playing with their friends and they hurt their knee. They will cry and scream for help. They will cry if somebody hits them or hurts them. They will cry if there's an upset in the family home. They will cry if somebody says something that hurts them. I remember when I was growing up as a child, we used to say things like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Actually, they do. They have an effect if somebody's calling you names. And at school, this is a rife playground for bullying. This is where it starts. And this is where this initiation for boyhood starts to kick in, to show the pecking order, who's in charge and who's deemed as not part of the in crowd. And this has an effect on the emotional dealings of the little boy and also the little girls. The little girls can cry, they can be upset. And the other thing that happens with little girls is they will talk to their friends. But that little boy feels uncomfortable to talk because he has the witnessing of the adult men and peers in his life and sees that there are no tears. He sees that there is a stereotype of how he should be. And so he takes it on. So the stigma of men's emotions, it affects your mental health. Absolutely, for sure. There is many more suicides and there's many more people that are men that self-harm as opposed to women and girls. And this is because the emotions are held down. This is because the emotions are pushed to the point that they don't feel it's right or appropriate to show their emotions. And because those expressions of what they think they should be versus what's okay to be, it causes mental health issues, anxiety. What will people think of me? Will they be accepting of me? How will they respond to me if I'm showing my vulnerability? How will they be with me if I'm not being a boy growing up to be a man? And so there is this stereotypical gender stereotyping where the boy is supposed to be a certain way, supposed to act in a certain style and accept some things that the girl obviously doesn't have to accept and is very comfortable, and it's deemed more appropriate for the little girl to express and show her emotions, that the little boy is doing his best to conform, doing his best to do what he thinks he should be doing versus what he feels. Let me tell you something. We're all human, and little boys have feelings. We're human, and it's okay to feel. It's okay to experience and express your feelings. But because we live in this society of an expectation of this stereotyping, and we're looking at gender here because we are living in different times now where it's not just boy, girl, man, woman. We're living in much more gender times where you can be a woman and actually very masculine in your gender. You can be a man and very feminine in your gender. So we're looking at the masculinity of you as the person, because this is inclusive. This is not just about boy, girl. And we are both energetically, if we strip down, we are both masculine energy and feminine energy. And it's really important to feel that every part of you is being listened to, and every part of you is having a human and a physical experience, because that's what we're here for. We are actually spirit in a physical human body, here to experience and feel as a human being. That's how it translates, human being. We're a human being rather than a human doing. And sometimes we get caught up in the doing rather than the being. And also, when a boy or a man expresses his vulnerability, it then is frowned upon. There is a stigma almost in today's culture and society that when gender-specific masculinity shows up as vulnerable, it's not accepted. It's not required. And so in our corporate lives, there is an expectation, whether you're a man or woman, to show up in your masculine energy and not in your vulnerability, to get stuff done, because we can't be in our vulnerability when we're trying to do things or working at things. We have to be in the masculine energy. And then it's okay after it's done to be in your vulnerability and express your emotions. But the stigma of a man doing that when he's done a great job is that he just moves on, and the masculine energy moves on to the next task in hand and never really celebrates or feels good or comfortable in celebrating that side of his vulnerability. So it's not good. The stigma of expressing that side of the emotions, the stigma is really frowned upon as saying it's not okay for you to be not okay. So what happens when men suppress their emotions? Well, they become a walking time bomb. All sorts of things can happen. When you suppress your emotions, the body starts expressing, and it will express physically and emotionally, and it'll express mentally. So let's look at some physical things. If the man or the boy is suppressing their emotions, it's like holding a hot coal, and you're getting burnt by that hot coal. And that hot coal is literally burning its way through you. And so it's hurting you. And so when you are angry, that anger turns inwards onto you. Even though somebody's done something to you, that anger that you feel is something that literally burns holes into you. Now, anger, it translates in the body it creates a very acidic nature in the body. So this can cause all sorts of acidic conditions in the body. One of them being arthritis. When somebody has arthritis, it is a very highly acidic environment in the body. And literally, I have seen people crippled up in their hands with arthritis. They can't literally move them, and it's because of unexpressed anger. This can happen for little girls as well that grow up into young ladies and young women. It's the same thing. I want to really focus today on the boys that turn into men that for their entire lifetime suppress their emotions. It can cause friction in terms of their movement towards things that they desire to do. Because when you shut down your emotions and feelings, essentially you shut down the second chakra, the sacral chakra, which is all about your movement towards things that you desire, the things that are pleasurable in your life. And when you shut that down, everything becomes very serious. It becomes less fun, less childlike, and more about what you have to get on and do rather than the experiences of feeling and experiences of pleasure and experiences of your sexual gratification. And so this can actually lead to some men pushing the boundaries to feel sexual gratification because they don't feel anything. And when they push the boundaries, what can happen is that they might go into things like BDSM, they might go into pain, pleasure, but pushing to feel, because when the emotions and feelings are suppressed and shut down, the escape route is the mind. And then when you go into the mind, then it's what you think about. But the body is deprived of any pleasure sensory experiences. And this is not just about in intimacy and the sexual area. This is also about food. This is about your spontaneity and your desire for laughter and fun, being in the zone. All singers and actors and people, sports people, footballers, baseball players, cricketers, all sports people go into the zone. And the zone is getting right down into feeling. So there is no mind. So this can cause havoc in your life if you are not feeling and experiencing pleasure, and suppressing the anger, suppressing sadness, suppressing joy. This is where you go on autopilot and literally exist rather than experience through life. You're existing through your experiences of life rather than feeling. This can lead to a detachment of experiencing your everyday joy. And this can literally lead you to feeling almost cut off from who you really want to be and who you see other people showing up and being versus how you think you should be. And this is all about the ideology of what we think we should be versus what we truly feel deep down inside. And here I am saying to you, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to express, even if you don't feel it's okay in front of people. It's okay to be angry, to scream, to shout. And if you feel that it's important for you not to be around anybody and do it privately, the invitation for you is to go and do that privately. Go and be not okay. Because when you've been not okay and let it out it doesn't hurt you. It's so important to be okay. It's a permission thing. It's okay not to feel and be okay. And if you're pushing down all those feelings and emotions, you become emotionless, and that actually hurts you even more than expressing whatever it is that you're feeling at the time. Crazy and true. And this is why some people can just keep going. They'll just keep going and be very, very calm. It's like a ticking time bomb, and there'll be a point that they've reached the threshold and even more. And I call this where there's where it's like the Titanic hit an iceberg, and there was a lot underneath the water and very little showing above. So it looked like it was achievable. It looked like it was not a big deal, but they didn't see what was underneath the water. And this is what it's like. It's like, what's underneath the little bit that's showing? And the little bit that's showing is nowhere near what you're hiding and trying to cope with. So my invitation here is, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to express your emotions, because you will feel happier and more content in your life. And you'll be surprised how quick you can move through just literally by expressing how you feel, even if it's on your own, or if it's with a close friend or a family member or somebody, a peer, a colleague, somebody you trust. It's okay to not be okay. Now, this quote is from Charles R. Swindoll, and he's actually a senior pastor in America and California. And he says, authentic men aren't afraid to show affection, release their feelings, hug their children, cry when they're sad, admit it when they're wrong, and ask for help when they need it. That's so beautiful. He has incredible sources of motivation for men, and he's really highly regarded and as a senior pastor doing his works. And I just feel that these are the types of people that become our role models, not what we think we should be, but actually hearing from a pastor, it's okay to show and express and release feelings. Kid Cudi, he's worth 18 million. He's a very, very successful superstar. And he has so much money that it doesn't matter to him. It's not about street cred or being cool. It's about being real. And I think at times you can get to the point that you have so much money, then you don't have to be anything to anyone. You can literally be yourself. And Kid Cudi says, I'm a man who's enjoyed pain and heartbreak. And just in case you're wondering, yes, guys do have feelings. And you know, this is showing up in our modern world. He's a rapper, a very famous American rapper. He's become a role model to our young boys and our young men, that it is cool to express and to show feelings, to show when we're in pain, to show when things aren't working. It's completely okay. And it's people like this that are showing up and saying it's okay and breaking that patriarchal mold of thinking that boys are not allowed, shouldn't cry, shouldn't show their vulnerability, and shouldn't be expressing pain or heartbreak. And I say congratulations. Kid Cudi, I say thank you, because you are leading the way. You are showing up and showing what it is truly like to be in our world today of being a young boy, a young man, and saying it's okay to be vulnerable. And I say thank you. Leo Buscalavia, I think it's pronounced, aka Dr. Love. Now he says, and I love this quote, and I just had to, I've had a few quotes today and I wanted to really share this because he's quite mature, this man, and known as Dr. Love. And he says, strong emotions are present in all people. Without feeling, we would not be human. Which goes along the track of what I've been saying throughout this presentation. It's unnatural for man to hide what he's feeling, though if taught to do so, he can learn, which is what happens to our young boys. Love teaches a man to show what he is feeling. Love never presupposes that it can be discerned or felt without expression. Dr. Love. And you know, this quote underpins everything about this presentation, that it's okay to feel, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to express. I'm absolutely aware of many young men's groups that are springing up all over the place, where young men, young boys are showing up in these communities to find out, to kind of find a way to feel comfortable with what's going on in terms of expressing their feelings and emotions and working through their journey of feeling vulnerable, being okay to be vulnerable. And when we've got people like Dr. Love and the pastor bringing really, really good role model territory to our young boys and our young men, it's changing the way that we're thinking about how young boys and young men and men should be in their adult life. From my perspective, all of these changes are for the better, and it shows us that we are moving towards a much more humane way of living and being and thinking and showing up and presenting ourselves in the world. Because this is the time, we are in the time of compassion. When we show compassion to another human being, that compassion is actually given back to us tenfold. And my invitation to you is to feel comfortable, to express, to be, to feel. Because if we don't, it hurts our relationships, it hurts our family relationships, our siblings, our parent relationships, our colleagues. It hurts our intimate relationships. And more importantly, it hurts our own personal relationship with ourselves. Because the first relationship is with self, and everything transcends from self. And so if we don't express or show love externally, it shows quite clearly we're not expressing love or feeling compassion or emotions to ourselves. And so then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we show no emotion or love for others, it then starves us of the same. And we walk around in life being on autopilot rather than living and experiencing and feeling and showing up as what I would say is a proper human being. We are of an age and of a time now that it is totally okay to express and to be in your emotions. I have seen grown men in my chair literally break down because I give permission. It's okay. It's okay to cry and not even know why. It's okay to let go of your emotions and the feelings that you've trapped, thinking that that's how you should live your life. It's okay. Never let anyone tell you it's not okay. We will live, and you will live in a much happier and much more pleasurable and more meaningful, humane existence and environment if you allow yourself to feel and express your emotions. It is exactly what we're here for, to feel and express in our humanness. We are in humankind, not human doing, we're in human beingness. Thank you for your interest and your attention for today's presentation. Please subscribe to USA Global TV. You can find all of our Talking Heads episodes under the playlist entitled Talking Heads. You'll find all my Talking Heads episodes under my name, Caroline Heward, and Talking Heads. Please do reach out to me if I may be of service to you. You can contact me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or reach out and call if you're international, +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. I offer a free consultation for 30 minutes on Zoom, Skype, and if you're camera shy, over the phone. Book in, especially if you're international. I'm in the UK, and so our time zones are different. Please do reach out to me. I really want to help. This is how we create world peace. It's about creating an inner state of peacefulness internally, and that extends to your external environment, to your friends, your community, your family, and then to the world. This is how we are going to create world peace together. It starts one by one, and it starts with you. Namaste.